which hydrolyze ATP molecule to ADP and inorganic phosphate. So enzymes are proteinic in nature, okay, and transporters, most of the transporter molecules, they are also proteins present in the cell membrane. Some of the transporters are ATPases also. It means that they can bind to ATP molecule and they can hide ADP and inorganic phosphate. So since the hydrolysis of ATP is an exergonic reaction, it releases energy, and this energy can be used for the uptake of solute against its concentration gradient. Okay, so this is actually a type of primary active transport if the solute is transported using the energy derived from ATP hydrolysis. Okay, so there are different types of ATPases. Some ATPases are present in the cytoplasm, whereas some are present in the cell membrane. So the transporter molecules which uses the ATP for the active transport of solute against their concentration gradient are called as ATPases, which are driven are the transporters which are driven by the ATP hydrolysis. Okay, so ATPases are ATP driven cation transporters. They are reversibly phosphorylated by ATP. This means that when these ATPases catalyze the hydrolysis of ATP, ATP is converted into ADP and inorganic phosphate. But the inorganic phosphate is linked to the ATPase, and therefore ATPase gets phosphorylated. Okay, the phosphate is not released into cytoplasm, but instead that phosphate is linked to the protein and the protein gets phosphorylated. This phosphorylation of protein is reversible, means by another reaction the phosphate group can be removed from the protein. Okay, and the phosphorylation has one significance, that the phosphorylation forces a conformational change in the protein, means it changes the conformation of protein. As a result, the protein can catalyze the solute uptake or solute transport. Okay, so phosphorylation and dephosphorylation, these are the two things which changes the conformation of protein. So when it is phosphorylated, it assumes one conformation, and when phosphate group is removed, it assumes different conformation. Okay, and thereby the solute transport is catalyzed by these molecules. So there are different types of ATPases. The ATPases which are present in the cell membrane are called as P-type ATPases. Okay, so these P-type ATPases are integral proteins of cell membrane. We have studied that cell membrane has different types of proteins, integral proteins and peripheral proteins. So these P-type ATPases are the integral proteins, and uh, it is said that they have the 10 predicted membrane spanning regions in a single polypeptide chain. In the earlier lecture also we have studied the lactose transporter. That lactose transporter has the 6 regions which spans the cell membrane or which transfers the cell membrane. So similarly these molecules have the 10 subunits which transfers through the cell membrane, and it has some region, particularly the loop region in the periplasm as well as in cytoplasm. Sometimes these P-type ATPases are single polypeptide chains, and sometimes they have the 2 polypeptide chains. So it may be a single subunit protein or double subunit protein. The examples of this type of transporter molecules are found in various types of cells. They are present in animal cells, they are present in plant cells as well as in the bacterial cells. And the best example is the sodium potassium ATPases, which is an antiporter. Okay, antiporter, we have discussed that it transfer the two different molecules in opposite direction simultaneously. So sodium and potassium, these are two different molecules which are transferred in opposite direction by sodium potassium ATPase. We are going to discuss this particular transporter in detail in today's lecture. And the calcium ATPase is the uniporter. Okay, so these ATPase molecule maintain difference in the ionic composition of cytosol and the extracellular medium. So they play very important role. It is essential that a proper balance in the ionic concentration must be maintained across the cell membrane. So these transporter proteins, they maintain this particular balance. Okay, so now we will discuss about this sodium potassium ATPase. So this sodium potassium ATPase, as I told you, they are present in almost all type of cells, particularly in the animal cells, and they maintain the balance in the concentration of sodium and potassium ions across the cell membrane. Now remember that both the sodium ion and potassium ion, they are the positively charged ion. So the concentration of sodium ion is lower in the cell than in the surrounding medium. So in the surrounding medium, the concentration of sodium ion is high. It means that on the outer surface of the cell membrane, the concentration of sodium ion is high, and the potassium concentration is higher in the inner side. Okay, the concentration of sodium ion is lower in the cell than in the surrounding medium, and the concentration of potassium ion is higher. So sodium ion concentration is low inside the cell and high outside the cell. Potassium ion concentration is low outside the cell and high inside the cell. Okay, the imbalance is maintained by a primary active transport system in the plasma membrane, and this system is the sodium and potassium ATPase system. Now remember that when sodium ion concentration is higher outside the cell, okay, then the transport of sodium from the cytoplasm to the outer side will require energy, because it will be the transfer from low concentration to high concentration. Similarly, the concentration of potassium ion is higher inside and lower outside. So energy will be required to transfer the potassium ion from outside to inside. So these two things are catalyzed by this ATPase simultaneously, and hence it is an antiporter system. uh, System. So the enzyme sodium potassium ATPase was discovered by Jens Kow in 1957. This enzyme couples the breakdown of ATP to simultaneous movement of sodium ions and potassium ion against their electrochemical gradient. Okay, so their electrochemical gradient. So this is that enzyme ATPase, which is also a transporter protein. So it couples two things. Number one, hydrolysis of ATP to ADP. Number two, transfer of sodium ion and potassium ions. Okay. Now, in this figure, you can see that these red color balls are the sodium ions. They are sodium ion. Okay, and sodium ion concentration is low inside the cell. Okay, and it is high outside the cell. So energy is required to transfer the sodium ion from inside to outside, and this is an active transporter. So what happens that these three sodium ions, they bind to this protein 1 2 3. Okay, once these three sodium ion binds to this ATPase, then this ATPase gets activated and it binds to an ATP molecule. So ATP molecule is linked to this particular protein. The ATP is hydrolyzed to ADP and inorganic phosphate. Now what happens? The inorganic phosphate gets linked to the protein, whereas ATP is released into cytoplasm, and this inorganic phosphate is linked to the protein. The linking of inorganic phosphate to the protein is said to be the phosphorylation of protein. Okay, so this enzyme is now phosphorylated, therefore it is written as P enzyme 2. Okay, so now this phosphorylated enzyme undergoes conformational change due to phosphorylation. Conformational change means its shape undergoes some change, and this protein now opens the cavity towards the outer side. The inner cavity is closed and the outer cavity is opened. Okay, now when the cavity is open, this sodium ion finds the way into the periplasm or into the surrounding. Okay, then what happens that the two potassium ion from the surrounding binds to the potassium ion binding site of the same protein, which is phosphorylated. Okay, the two potassium ion binds to this protein, three sodium ions are released into the surrounding. Okay, now the protein undergoes dephosphorylation. Dephosphorylation means removal of phosphate from the protein. So this dephosphorylation of the protein again changes the conformation of this protein. So this protein regains its original conformation. Now the cavity is open towards the inner side, and the two potassium ions are released into the cytoplasm. Okay, so this is a cycle of phosphorylation and dephosphorylation that causes the change in the conformation of protein and the transport of solute across the membrane. So when it is in dephosphorylated state, it opens the cavity towards the inner side where 3 sodium ion binds to this protein, and then it binds to ATP. ATP is hydrolyzed to ADP and inorganic phosphate. ADP is released in the cytoplasm, whereas the inorganic phosphate is linked to the protein. This causes the conformational change in the protein, opening the cavity towards the outer side, and the 3 sodium ions are then released into the surrounding medium. Okay, and then 2 potassium from the surrounding medium binds to this protein. Then this triggers the dephosphorylation of protein. The protein undergoes dephosphorylation, phosphate group is removed. As a result, it also undergoes the conformational change, and now the cavity is open into the cytoplasm, and the 2 potassium ions are released into the cytoplasm. So net there is flow of 3 sodium ions on the outer surface and 2 sodium ions into the cytoplasm. Okay, so there is net movement of 1 positive charge towards the outer surface. यहाँ पर 3 पॉजिटिव बाहर जा रहे हैं और यहाँ पर 2 पॉजिटिव चार्ज अंदर आ रहे हैं. सो देर इज नेट मूवमेंट ऑफ 1 पॉजिटिव चार्ज आउटर साइड. ओके, So as a result, the outer surface becomes positively charged and inner surface becomes negatively charged, and hence this type of transport is also called as electrogenic transport because it creates an electrical gradient. Okay, so the enzyme sodium potassium ATPase was discovered by Jens Cow in 1957, and it couples breakdown of ATP to the simultaneous movement of sodium ions and potassium ions against their concentration gradient. So for each molecule of ATP converted to ADP and inorganic phosphate, the transporter moves two sodium ions inward and two potassium ions inward and three sodium ions outward across the plasma membrane. The sodium potassium ATPase is an integral protein with two subunits. Here you can see that it has two subunits. ATPase cycles between two forms, a phosphorylated form and the dephosphorylated form. Okay, um, two forms, a phosphorylated form with high affinity for potassium and low affinity for sodium. So when it is phosphorylated, it has high affinity for potassium, therefore it binds to the potassium ions, and since it has low affinity for sodium, it releases the sodium ions into the surrounding. Okay, um, a dephosphorylated form with high affinity for sodium ion. So when it is dephosphorylated, it has high affinity for sodium ion, so it can bind to the sodium. Because three sodium ions move outward for every two potassium ions that move inward, this process is electrogenic. Okay, so as it separates the charge across the membrane, the membrane gets positively charged on the outer surface and negatively charged on the inner surface. Therefore, it is known as electrogenic. Remember this word, electrogenic. The result is transmembrane potential of 50 to 70 millivolt inside negative related to outside, because the positive charge is shifted to outside, which is characteristic of most animal cells and essential to the conduction of action potential in neurons. The central role of sodium potassium ATPase is reflected in the high energy invested in this single reaction. It is very essential the for the cell to maintain this particular electrical gradient, and that's why cell invest energy in maintaining this gradient. Okay, so this is about the transporters, ABC transporters, and in this topic we will study the example of histidine transport. Now what is this ABC? ABC for ATP binding cassettes. ATP binding cassettes. So it is also a family of protein. Yes, someone's microphone is on. Is there any problem? Okay, so ABC for ATP binding cassettes. Okay, note it down, ATP binding cassettes. So this is again a family of protein uh, that is that has ability to bind to ATP molecule and hydrolyze that ATP molecule to ADP and inorganic phosphate. Okay, so uh, histidine uptake. Now what is histidine? Histidine is an amino acid. Histidine is amino acid. Okay, and it is a small molecule. Here you can see that this is the cytoplasmic membrane, and this is the outer membrane. Okay, CM for cytoplasmic membrane and OM for the outer membrane. We have studied about the outer membrane, that Outer membrane inhibits the transport of molecule, both polar and non-polar, but outer membrane has porine channels. So outer membrane has the porine channels. So these are the porine channels, and we have studied that porine channel facilitates the transport of small hydrophilic molecules, and this is histidine. So this histidine molecule enters into the periplasm. This space, the space between outer membrane and inner membrane, is called as periplasm. So histidine molecule enters into the periplasm through these porine channels, and now this histidine has to enter into cytoplasm. But for entering into cytoplasm, the decision is made by the proteins which are present in the cytoplasmic membrane whether to uptake this histidine molecule or not, whether to uptake this molecule or not. So in this cytoplasmic membrane, there is a protein, a complex protein that is known as ABBC, which is a type of ABC protein. There are 4 polypeptide chains in this protein ABBC. Okay, so this is an ATP binding cassette that has ability to bind to ATP and hydrolyze that ATP molecule. Okay, in this periplasm also there are some proteins which are known as periplasmic protein. So this is a periplasmic protein, and this periplasmic protein is also known as histidine binding protein. It is histidine binding protein. This histidine binding protein is an allosteric protein. Allosteric protein means when it binds to the modulator molecule, it undergoes conformational change. Okay, all the proteins which undergoes conformational change upon binding to a modulator molecule are called as allosteric protein. So this histidine binding protein is present in the periplasm. It binds to histidine, and as a result it undergoes a conformational change. So the binding of histidine triggers a conformational change into this protein. So here you can see that the protein has changed its shape. Now this conformation of histidine binding protein has high affinity for the ABBC protein. So it travels towards the ABBC protein and binds to the ABBC protein. Now binding of this histidine binding protein to this ABBC protein triggers the ATPase activity of this enzyme. ATPase activity means now this protein, ABBC protein, can bind to ATP molecule and can hydrolyze that ATP to ADP and inorganic phosphate. Okay, so it binds to ATP and convert that ATP to ADP and inorganic phosphate, which is an exergonic reaction. It is an exergonic reaction. So in this exergonic reaction, what happens that this protein, ABBC protein, also undergoes a conformational change and the gates are open. The gates are open. Through this gate, the histidine molecule enters into cytoplasm. Okay. Now since histidine has left this histidine binding protein, this histidine binding protein regains its original conformation जो यहाँ पर था पहले. Okay, so it regains its original conformation. Okay, and since it regains its original conformation, it loses its affinity for this ABBC protein. So it is released from the ABBC protein. Okay, now when it is released from the ABBC protein, the ABBC protein also regains its original conformation. Okay, so this is how there is a cycle of conformational change in this histidine uptake model. The histidine enters into periplasm from the surrounding medium through the porine channels present in outer membrane. Then the histidine binds to histidine binding protein. which triggers a conformational change. Okay, now this changed histidine binding protein has high affinity for the ABBC protein. So this protein binds to the ABBC protein. The binding of this molecule to ABBC protein triggers the ATPase activity of this protein. As a result, this protein binds to ATP and ATP is hydrolyzed to ADP. The reaction is exergonic and the energy is used to open the gate. As a result, histidine molecule is transferred into cytoplasm. This protein, histidine binding protein, regains its original conformation due to release of histidine and it gets released from the ABBC protein. As a result, the ABBC protein also regains its original conformation and the gates are closed. So this is how the histidine molecule is uptaken by the cell that has this outer membrane, that is E. coli cell. Okay, so this type of transport system is known as the histidine binding model, and it is also a type of primary active transport where ATP molecule is hydrolyzed to uptake the solute. Okay, so it is an example of primary active transport, and it is also an example of shock sensitive model that we are going to discuss right now. Shock sensitive model. So remember, this is an outer membrane. Outer membrane has porine channels. This is periplasm. Periplasm has periplasmic proteins, for example histidine binding protein, and this is cytoplasmic membrane that has transporter proteins, various types of transporters. So one of the transporter is ABBC protein. Okay, so histidine enters into the periplasm through porine, binds to the histidine binding protein, which undergoes conformational change, then binds to the ABBC protein. ABBC protein hydrolyzes ATP to ADP and inorganic phosphate, and the histidine is transported into cytoplasm and the ABBC protein regains its original conformation. The gates are closed. So this is how the histidine is uptaken by the. Do you have any doubt, any question? Shock sensitive system, and in this shock sensitive system we will also see the role of this binding protein. So as I told you, the histidine uptake is also a type of shock sensitive. The shock is not an electric shock, the shock is the osmotic shock. Osmotic shock. So when a cell is subjected for osmotic shock, they will the proteins which are present in the periplasmic space, they will get released and there will be no protein available for binding to the solute. Okay, therefore this system is also called as system. So gram negative bacteria have the cell membrane and outer membrane. The space between the outer membrane and cell membrane is called as periplasm. Okay, and there are some proteins present in the periplasm. Now if these gram negative bacteria are subjected to osmotic shock with EDTA and MgCl2, which is also known as cold osmotic shock, then the outer membrane may get damaged and the periplasmic protein may get released into the surrounding. Okay, so if the periplasmic proteins are released into the surrounding, there will be no protein available to bind to the solute and bring it to the proteins like ABBC protein. Okay, as a result there will be no transport of molecules. So histidine uptake is a good example of this shock sensitive system. So we have seen that histidine for histidine uptake, in histidine uptake model there are two membranes, outer membrane and inner membrane. When outer membrane is ruptured, the periplasmic protein gets released and there is no histidine binding protein available to bind to the histidine. So therefore cell cannot uptake the histidine. Okay, the presence of histidine binding protein is very essential for the uptake of histidine. So there is not only this histidine, but there are several sugars and the amino acids, ions, which are transported by, called as the shock sensitive model. The solute cross the outer membrane through porine and bind to specific binding proteins before being transported through the cytoplasmic membrane by the membrane bound protein complex. Okay, that is ABBC. So there is histidine binding protein which is present in पेरिप्लाज्म. अगर वो प्रोटीन ही नहीं रहा तो हिस्टिडीन को वो बाइंड ही नहीं कर पाएगा और हिस्टिडीन को वो एबीबीसी प्रोटीन जो है वहाँ तक लेकर ही नहीं आएगा. This protein complex is a member of large superfamily of the pro proteins that import nutrients or export cell surface constituents and extracellular proteins. They have an ATP binding motif, and maltose is a disaccharide. Maltose is a disaccharide made up of two glucose residues, particularly two alpha D glucose molecules. Now this maltose is also the product of starch hydrolysis. When starch is subjected for hydrolysis by beta amylase, the product of this hydrolysis is maltose. Now, maltose is uptaken by the cell by using this shock sensitive system, which is again very much similar to that of the histidine uptake. For the uptake of maltose, there are special channels present in the outer. There is an outer membrane. This is an outer membrane. On this outer membrane, there is special channel which is made by a protein which is known as LAMB protein. LAMB protein. LAMB protein. Through these channels, the maltose residues enters into the periplasmic space. This space is periplasmic space. In this periplasm, there is a maltose binding protein which is designated as MAL-E, M-A-L-E, M capital. So this is a maltose binding protein. The maltose binding protein binds to the maltose which enters into periplasm. Maltose को पता नहीं है कि अपना रास्ता कहाँ से है, अंदर कैसे जाना है. So this MAL-E guides that maltose, means it brings that maltose to the transporter protein present in cytoplasmic membrane. So this at the lower side there is cytoplasmic membrane. This cytoplasmic membrane has different transporter, but for the transport of maltose there is a special transporter which is made up of three subunits: MAL-F, MAL-G and MAL-K. Okay, so these are the three subunits. They constitutes a maltose transporter in the cytoplasmic membrane. So this MAL-E brings this maltose to the MAL-F, MAL-G, MAL-K complex at the cytoplasmic membrane, and then the gates are open and maltose is uptaken by the cell, or maltose enters into cytoplasm. Okay, this maltose also binds to another receptor which is present in the cytoplasm, that is known as star receptor, which stimulate the taxis towards maltose. Taxis means what? Movement. Okay, so when the maltose is available and when this MAL-E brings that maltose to this star protein, then it moves its flagella in such a way that the cell is transported towards the maltose. Okay, so that is not the point to be covered in this section, so don't think about it, just think about the uptake of maltose. Now why this maltose uptake is a shock sensitive system? Maltose uptake is a shock sensitive system because if this cell is subjected for osmotic shock with the help of EDTA and the calcium ions, then what will happen that this outer membrane will get ruptured, outer membrane will get damaged, and this MAL-E protein will be released. It will get released, and there will be no MAL-E protein available to bind to the maltose and bring it to the cell membrane at specific transporter, and therefore maltose will not enter into cytoplasm, and hence this system is also a shock sensitive system. Okay, so in shock sensitive system, what happens? Because of osmotic shock, the outer membrane is ruptured, the periplasmic proteins are released into the external environment, and there is no facilitation from the periplasmic protein to bring the solute molecule towards the specific transporter. As a result, there is no transport of these molecules. Hence, this system is called as shock sensitive system. Is that clear? So, histidine binding protein, second example is maltose binding protein or MAL-E protein. Okay, give example of the channels present in outer membrane. So, LAM-B channel, and example of cytoplasmic protein for uptake of the maltose, so MAL-F, MAL-G, MAL-K. So these are the examples. Remember about the shock sensitive system and the histidine uptake models. There are 5 steps in. Today we have discussed about 3 trans. These are the topics. Have any question you can ask me. Thank you very much.